Commander Jake Morrison floated in the command chair of the Earth Defense Coalition vessel Defender as red warning lights flashed across the bridge. His crew of 12 worked quietly at their stations while the ship drifted near Jupiter's largest, Moon. They had been on routine patrol for 3 weeks when the sensors picked up something that changed everything. "Commander, we have unknown contacts approaching from the outer system," called out Lieutenant Danny Rodriguez from the sensor station. His voice stayed calm, but Jake could hear the worry underneath. "They're big, sir. Much bigger than anything we've ever built." Jake pushed himself toward the main display screen where green dots showed the approaching ships. The computer estimated their size, and his heart sank. Each contact measured over 2 kilometers long, and they moved in perfect formation. Earth's largest warship measured only 800 meters, and they had built just 50 of those ships over the past 10 years. "How many contacts, Danny?" Jake asked as he gripped the handrail near the screen. 12 ships, sir, all the same size and design. They're slowing down but still heading straight for us." The bridge fell silent except for the soft hum of life support systems. Jake had served in Earth's defense fleet for 15 years and had never seen anything like this. The ships on the screen used technology that human scientists could only dream about. They moved without visible engines, and their hulls seemed to bend light around them. "Send a message to Luna Station," Jake ordered. "Tell Admiral Lisa Parker we have first contact with an alien species. Send all our sensor data and maintain radio silence after transmission." Back on Luna Station, Admiral Lisa Parker read the message 3 times before believing it. She stood in the command center surrounded by holographic displays that showed Earth's entire defense fleet. 50 ships scattered across the solar system, each one carrying the best weapons and shields that human technology could produce. Now she learned that alien ships twice their size had entered the system. "Get me a direct line to Earth Command," she told her communications officer. "Priority Alpha clearance." Within minutes, she was speaking directly to the president and the military leadership. The conversation was short and direct. Earth's government had always wondered if this day would come, and they had prepared as best they could. But seeing those massive alien ships on the sensor data made their preparations seem small and weak. Meanwhile, in the depths of space, war strategist Velthak studied the primitive human vessel through his ship's advanced sensors. The alien commander stood 8 feet tall with 4 arms and gray skin that looked like stone. His species had conquered over 2,000 star systems in the past 500 years, and he had personally overseen the capture of 47 worlds. "These humans are even more primitive than our initial reports suggested," Velthak said to his tactical officer. "Their vessel uses chemical rockets and nuclear fusion for power. We stopped using such crude technology 3,000 years ago." The tactical officer nodded agreement as data scrolled across multiple screens. "Their weapons appear to be simple kinetic projectiles and primitive nuclear devices. Their shields are basic electromagnetic barriers that our plasma weapons will pierce easily." Velthak examined the data on human civilization that his scouts had gathered over the past year. The species lived on one world with a population of 8 billion. They had built small colonies on their moon and the 4th planet, but nothing that could threaten a galactic power. Most importantly, they appeared to have only 50 warships protecting their entire star system. "Prepare the standard pacification force," Velthak commanded. 200 heavy cruisers, 500 destroyers, and 50,000 ground troops should be more than sufficient. We will give them the standard surrender ultimatum, and when they refuse, we will demonstrate why the Kethvar Empire rules this galaxy. His communication officer opened a channel to the human vessel. The message was simple and had been used on dozens of worlds before. "Primitive species of the 3rd planet, you will surrender your world to the Kethvar Empire within 72 hours. Comply, and your people will be relocated to suitable worlds as workers. Resist and face complete extermination." Jake Morrison received the message and felt his blood turn cold. The alien voice spoke perfect English, but the words carried the weight of absolute authority. These beings had done this before, and they expected quick surrender from the primitive humans. "Danny, transmit everything to Luna Station, then set course for Earth at maximum speed," Jake ordered. "And send a message to all Earth defense ships. Tell them to return to home system immediately." As the Defender raced toward Earth, Admiral Parker was already coordinating the defense. She knew that 50 ships could not defeat 200 alien cruisers, but Earth's people would not surrender without a fight. The alien commander had made one critical mistake in his assessment of human military strength. The Kethvar scout ships had observed Earth during a planned military exercise when most of the defense fleet was away from the home system. They had seen only the small garrison force and assumed it represented humanity's total military capability. In reality, Earth's main battle fleet was conducting training operations in the Alpha Centauri system under Admiral Tom Johnson's command. But even Admiral Parker did not know the full scope of Earth's hidden strength. The government had been preparing for this possibility for decades and had built far more than the 50 ships that the aliens had observed. Secret shipyards in the asteroid belt had been working around the clock, and Earth's true defensive capability was about to surprise everyone, including their own military leaders. The countdown to humanity's first interstellar war had begun, and the Kethvar Empire was about to learn that underestimating humans was a deadly mistake. Captain Ryan Bell stood on the bridge of the Earth vessel Horizon as it approached the massive alien fleet. His ship was one of Earth's newest and carried the most advanced communication equipment that human technology could build. Behind him, his crew of 20 worked at their stations while trying to stay calm. Everyone knew they were making history, but nobody knew if they would live to tell about it. "Open all communication channels," Ryan ordered. "Broadcast on every frequency we have. Maybe these aliens will listen to reason." The message went out in dozens of languages and mathematical formulas. Ryan tried to sound confident as he spoke into the microphone. "This is Captain Ryan Bell of the Earth Defense Coalition. We wish to establish peaceful relations with your people. Please respond, so we can discuss your presence in our solar system." The response came within minutes, and the alien voice was cold and final. "Human vessel, you have 67 hours remaining to surrender your world. This is your only warning. Comply or face the consequences." Back on Luna Station, Admiral Lisa Parker watched the exchange with growing anger. She had hoped for peaceful contact with alien life, but these Kethvar showed no interest in diplomacy. Their demand for surrender was delivered like an order to animals, not an offer to an intelligent species. "Get me Colonel Amy White at Strategic Command," Lisa ordered. "Tell her to activate all defense protocols immediately." Colonel Amy White had spent her entire career preparing for this moment. As head of Earth's Strategic Command, she knew every defensive position and weapon system in the solar system. Within an hour of receiving Lisa's order, she had every missile, battery, orbital platform, and defense station ready for combat. "All Earth defense ships are to return to home system immediately," Amy broadcast to the scattered fleet. "This is not a drill. We are now at war." The 72-hour ultimatum passed quickly. Ryan Bell kept his ship near the alien fleet, hoping for some sign that peaceful contact was still possible. But when the deadline expired, the Kethvar response was swift and brutal. War strategist Velthak gave the order to attack from his flagship. "Begin cleansing protocols. Destroy all human vessels and orbital installations. Ground forces will commence planetary assault once space superiority is established." The first salvo of plasma weapons lit up the darkness of space like green lightning. The alien energy beams struck 3 Earth defense ships before they could even raise their shields. The human vessels exploded in bright flashes that could be seen from Earth's surface. Ryan Bell watched in horror as ships he had served on were destroyed in seconds. "All ships, return fire," Admiral Parker commanded from Luna Station. "Show these aliens that humans do not surrender." The Earth fleet was outnumbered 4-1, but they fought back with everything they had. Nuclear missiles streaked toward the alien ships while kinetic projectiles fired from railguns at incredible speeds. The human crews expected their primitive weapons to bounce harmlessly off the advanced alien shields. Instead, something unexpected happened. Lieutenant Commander Steve Taylor aboard the Valiant watched in amazement as his nuclear missile penetrated the alien shields and destroyed a HFY destroyer. The explosion sent debris spinning through space and damaged 2 nearby alien ships. "How is that possible?" Steve asked his weapons officer. "Their shields should stop everything we can throw at them." Dr. Karen Lewis had the answer. From her laboratory on Luna Station, she watched the battle data and realized something that would change everything. The alien shields were designed to stop energy weapons like lasers and plasma beams. They worked by deflecting and dispersing energy attacks. But human nuclear weapons and kinetic projectiles used brute force instead of sophisticated energy manipulation. "The alien shields can't handle our crude weapons," Karen explained to Admiral Parker over the communication link. "Their technology is too advanced. They never learned to defend against primitive ballistic attacks." This discovery spread quickly through the Earth fleet. Captains who had expected to die fighting a hopeless battle suddenly found that their weapons could hurt the enemy. The nuclear warheads that human scientists considered outdated were punching through alien defenses that had protected the HFY Empire for centuries. War strategist Velthak could not believe what he was seeing. His tactical displays showed 23 destroyed ships and dozens more damaged. The primitive human fleet was supposed to be eliminated within minutes. Instead, they were fighting back with weapons that his shields could not stop. "How are they penetrating our defenses?" he demanded from his tactical officer. "Unknown, sir. Their weapons are too primitive for our shields to properly deflect. The nuclear devices use simple atomic fusion while our defenses are calibrated for plasma and particle beams." The battle raged for 6 hours. The humans lost 30 ships but destroyed over 60 alien vessels. The HFY had superior numbers and technology, but they had never faced an enemy that used such basic weapons. Every human nuclear missile was a potential ship killer, and the aliens had no defense against them. As the first day of fighting ended, both sides pulled back to assess the damage. War strategist Velthak sent an urgent message to the HFY High Command requesting immediate reinforcements. His routine pacification had become a desperate battle for survival. Admiral Parker gathered her remaining commanders for an emergency meeting. 20 ships had survived the first engagement, and they all needed repairs. But the mood was not hopeless. They had proven that Earth's weapons could hurt the aliens, and the enemy had lost more ships than expected. "We cannot win this war with 20 ships," Admiral Parker told the group. "But we have bought time for the main fleet to return from Alpha Centauri. Admiral Tom Johnson's fleet should reach Earth in 4 days." Nobody mentioned the truth that everyone knew. Even with Admiral Johnson's fleet, Earth would still be outnumbered. The HFY had hundreds more ships, and they would learn to adapt to human weapons. The first battle was over, but the war was just beginning. Earth's survival depended on secrets that even Admiral Parker did not fully understand. War strategist Velthak stared at the tactical displays with growing disbelief. In 30 years of military service, he had never seen anything like this. His pacification force had lost 97 ships in 3 days of fighting. The primitive, human fleet should have been destroyed within hours, but instead they continued to fight with impossible determination. "Report casualties," he ordered his communication officer. 30% of our fleet destroyed or disabled, sir. The humans have lost 41 vessels, but they continue to engage our forces with no apparent concern for their losses." Velthak could not understand this behavior. Every civilized species in the galaxy followed the same pattern when faced with superior force. They would fight briefly to show courage, then surrender when victory became impossible. The humans were different. They fought harder as their situation became more desperate. Captain Danny Rodriguez led the human charge that destroyed 3 HFY heavy cruisers in a single engagement. His ship, the Warrior, was damaged and leaking atmosphere, but he refused to retreat. Instead, he used an ancient military tactic that no spacefaring species had attempted in centuries. "All power to engines," Danny ordered his crew. "We're going to ram the command ship." His tactical officer looked at him with shock. "Sir, ramming is suicide. Our ship will be destroyed on impact." "Their ship will be destroyed too," Danny replied. "And we can hurt them more than they can hurt us. Prepare for collision." The Warrior accelerated directly at the alien flagship while firing every weapon. The HFY tried to destroy the attacking ship, but their plasma weapons could not stop the human vessel quickly enough. Danny's ship crashed into the alien command cruiser at tremendous speed, and both vessels exploded in a ball of nuclear fire. This ramming attack became the most famous moment of the early war. Other human captains began using similar tactics when their ships were too damaged to continue fighting. The aliens had never faced an enemy willing to sacrifice their own lives just to destroy one enemy vessel. On Earth's surface, the war was equally brutal. Major Susan Green commanded the defense of New York City as HFY dropships landed in Central Park. The alien ground troops expected quick surrender after demonstrating their superior weapons. Instead, they found themselves fighting house against humans who refused to give up. "They have plasma rifles and energy shields," Susan reported to Earth Command. "But they don't understand urban warfare. We're using every advantage we can find." The HFY ground troops were larger and stronger than humans, but they had been trained to fight conventional battles against organized armies. Human resistance included everyone from military personnel to civilian hunters using deer rifles. The aliens could destroy buildings with their advanced weapons, but they could not occupy territory when every street corner held potential enemies. Intelligence officer Zektar studied the human behavior from his analysis station aboard the HFY command ship. His species had conquered 47 worlds, and the pattern was always the same. The local population would resist for a few days, then begin collaborating once they understood that resistance was hopeless. Humans showed no such rational behavior. "They continue fighting even when victory is impossible," Zektar reported to war strategist Velthak. "Individual humans will fight until they are killed rather than surrender. We have never encountered such irrational combat behavior." The report troubled Velthak deeply. His forces were designed for quick conquest of rational enemies. The humans were neither quick to defeat nor rational in their responses. Every tactical advantage that the HFY Empire had developed over centuries was useless against opponents who treated certain death as an acceptable outcome. General Paul Robinson's forces in North America demonstrated combined arms tactics that confused the alien commanders. Human tanks, aircraft, and infantry worked together in ways that the HFY could not predict. The aliens had superior individual weapons, but they had never learned to coordinate different types of military units effectively. "Their ground troops fight like separate armies," Paul explained to his staff officers. "They don't support each other. We can defeat them in detail if we stay mobile and keep them separated." Commander Kate Johnson's naval units added another layer of confusion to the alien analysis. Her submarines surfaced near the alien landing sites and fired nuclear missiles before disappearing again. The HFY had naval forces, but they had never seen anything like submarine warfare adapted for coastal defense. The aliens began to realize that human military doctrine was completely different from anything in their experience. Where the HFY relied on superior technology and overwhelming force, humans used flexibility and willingness to accept casualties that other species would consider unacceptable. Intelligence officer Zektar compiled a detailed report for transmission to the HFY High Command. The human species appears to lack normal survival instincts. They will continue fighting long after defeat becomes certain. Their military tactics are unpredictable, and they show no concern for casualty ratios that would cause other species to surrender. The report reached the Empire's capital world, just as war strategist Velthak was sending his own urgent request for reinforcements. The High Command had never received such reports from any conquest in the past 500 years. Species that fought this hard were supposed to be eliminated completely, but that would require resources that the Empire was reluctant to commit to a single primitive world. Back in Earth's solar system, the battle continued with increasing desperation on both sides. The humans knew they were outgunned and outnumbered, but they also knew that surrender meant slavery or death for their entire species. The Kethvar knew they could eventually win, but the cost was becoming higher than any conquest. In their history, Admiral Lisa Parker coordinated the defense from Luna Station while watching casualty reports climb higher each day. Earth's defense fleet was down to 12 operational ships, but they had destroyed over 100 alien vessels. More importantly, they had bought precious time for Admiral Tom Johnson's main fleet to return from Alpha Centauri. Status report. On Admiral Johnson's fleet, Lisa asked her communication officer. Still 2 days out, sir. They're pushing their engines beyond safe limits to reach us sooner. Lisa nodded, but did not allow herself to show the worry she felt. Even when Tom's fleet arrived, they would still be outnumbered. The Kethvar had resources that Earth could not match. But something had changed in the past few days. The aliens were no longer acting like confident conquerors. They were starting to fight like desperate survivors. Intelligence analyst Morsek worked through the night in his small chamber aboard the Kethvar command ship. As the battle raged around him, he studied captured human databases and communication records. His job was to understand the enemy and find weaknesses that the military could exploit. What he discovered made his blood freeze. The humans had been deceiving them from the beginning. War strategist Velthak, you must see this immediately, Morsek transmitted to the bridge. His voice carried an urgency that had never been there before. Velthak arrived within minutes, his forearms moving with agitation. The past week of fighting had aged him visibly. His stone-like skin showed stress fractures, and his eyes were dim with exhaustion. "What have you found?" Velthak demanded. Morsek activated the holographic display showing human military records. "Sir, the 50. Ships defending Earth are not their entire space fleet. They are what humans call a skeleton crew." The display showed military deployment records that Morsek had decoded from captured human computers. Admiral Tom Johnson commanded a fleet of 800 warships supported by 2,000 auxiliary vessels. All of these ships were conducting what humans called training exercises in the Alpha Centauri system. "This cannot be accurate," Velthak said, but his voice lacked conviction. "Sir, I have cross-referenced the data with communication logs and personnel records. The humans deliberately concealed their true military strength. Our scouts observed Earth during a planned military stand-down period. The implications hit Velthak like a physical blow. His pacification force was designed to handle 50 primitive ships. If the humans had nearly 3,000 vessels, all armed with the same nuclear weapons that were destroying his fleet, then the Kethvar were facing complete annihilation. Lieutenant Colonel Ben Harper monitored enemy communications from Luna Station while Admiral Parker coordinated the desperate defense. His translation computers had finally broken the Kethvar military codes, and the intercepted messages told an amazing story. "Admiral, you need to hear this," Ben called to Admiral Parker. "The aliens are starting to panic." He played the translated Kethvar transmissions for her. War strategist Velthak was sending increasingly desperate messages to the Empire's capital world. The alien commander was requesting immediate reinforcement and warning that human military strength had been grossly underestimated. "They finally figured it out," Admiral Parker said with grim satisfaction. "They know about Admiral Johnson's fleet." Dr. Angela Brown worked in her laboratory deep inside Luna Station while the battle continued overhead. Her team had been analyzing captured Kethvar technology, and the results were disturbing. The aliens possessed weapons and defenses that were centuries ahead of human science. By all logic, Earth should have been conquered within hours. The only reason we're still alive is that their technology is too advanced, Angela explained to Admiral Parker during their daily briefing. Their shields are designed to stop sophisticated energy weapons. Our crude nuclear missiles are punching through because they're too primitive for the alien defenses to handle properly. This discovery led to another shocking realization: the ice. HFY scouts had observed Earth during a time when most of the defense fleet was away on exercises. They had seen the fractured political structure of peacetime democracy and assumed that humans were divided and weak. In reality, Earth's government had unified instantly when faced with external threats. Captain Pete Wilson received new orders while commanding the patrol ship Guardian on the outer edge of the solar system. His job was to maintain a defensive perimeter and watch for alien reinforcements. What he saw through his ship's telescope made him understand why the aliens were beginning to panic. Admiral Tom Johnson's massive fleet was returning from Alpha Centauri ahead of schedule. Nearly 3,000 ships of all sizes filled the darkness of space like a moving constellation. The fleet included everything from massive dreadnoughts carrying hundreds of nuclear missiles to small fighters designed for hit-and-run attacks. Send a message to Admiral Parker, Pete ordered his communications officer. Tell her the cavalry is coming and they brought friends. Back on the HFY command ship, war strategist Velthak studied the latest intelligence reports with growing horror. The approaching human fleet was larger than anything the Empire had ever assembled for a single campaign. More terrifying was the realization that this represented only a fraction of human military power. Intelligence analyst Morsek had discovered that Earth maintained separate fleets for different regions of human space. The sole defense fleet was just one of 12 such formations. If humans had been building warships in secret for decades, then their total military strength might exceed that of the entire HFY Empire. How did our intelligence fail so completely? Velthak asked. The humans practiced deception warfare, Morsek replied. They deliberately showed us only their weakest forces while hiding their true strength. Our scouts observed exactly what the humans wanted them to see. The alien commander realized that his species had made a fundamental error. They had assumed that humans would behave like every other species in the galaxy. Instead, they had encountered a civilization that treated interstellar warfare as routine training and viewed galactic conquest as a normal part of military planning. Admiral Lisa Parker received constant updates on Admiral Johnson's approaching fleet while coordinating the final phase of Earth's initial defense. Her remaining ships were barely holding the line, but they had accomplished something miraculous. They had bought enough time for Earth's true military strength to reveal itself. Status report on the approaching fleet, she asked her tactical officer. Admiral Johnson will arrive in 18 hours with 812 warships. The HFY have detected the approaching fleet, and they appear to be withdrawing their ground forces from Earth's surface. For the first time since the war began, Admiral Parker allowed herself to smile. The aliens were learning that attacking Earth had been a catastrophic mistake, but she knew that the real surprise was still to come. Even Admiral Johnson's fleet was not humanity's full strength. Deep in the asteroid belt, secret shipyards had been building warships for 30 years. The approaching crisis would force Earth to reveal military capabilities that even most government leaders did not know existed. The HFY Empire was about to discover that they had not just attacked a single primitive world, but had declared war on a civilization that had been preparing for interstellar conflict since the first radio telescope detected signs of alien intelligence. The terrible realization was spreading through the alien fleet like a virus. Earth was not the helpless target they had expected, but a military superpower that had deliberately appeared weak to lure potential enemies into making exactly this kind of mistake. Admiral Tom Johnson stood on the bridge of his flagship as the massive human fleet emerged from hyperspace. Behind him stretched nearly 3,000 warships in perfect formation. Each vessel carried enough nuclear weapons to destroy a city, and crews trained for the kind of warfare that the galaxy had not seen in centuries. "Signal all ships," Tom ordered. "Battle Formation Alpha. Prepare for immediate engagement." The sight that greeted the Kethvar forces was beyond their worst nightmares. Human dreadnoughts, measuring over a kilometer in length, moved alongside smaller cruisers and destroyers. Fighter squadrons filled the space between larger ships like deadly insects. The entire formation moved with precision that spoke of years of training and preparation. War strategist Velthak watched the approaching human fleet with growing despair. His remaining forces numbered less than 400 ships, and most were damaged from the week-long battle. The humans outnumbered him 8-1, and they were fresh for combat. Worse, every human ship carried the same primitive weapons that had been destroying his fleet for days. "Open communication with the human commander," Velthak ordered. For the first time in his career, he was preparing to negotiate from a position of weakness. Admiral Johnson's response was brief and cold. "Kethvar Commander, you have invaded human space and attacked our home world. You have exactly 1 hour to begin withdrawal, or we will destroy every ship in your fleet." Commander Nick Davis led the human vanguard as it approached the alien formation. His ship carried some of the newest weapons that Earth's secret shipyards had produced. Nuclear missiles with improved guidance systems and kinetic projectiles fired from magnetic accelerators that could punch through any known armor. "All ships, commence attack," Admiral Johnson ordered when the hour expired. The space battle that followed was unlike anything in galactic history. Human nuclear weapons lit up the darkness like tiny suns, while kinetic projectiles moved at incredible speeds. The Kethvar returned fire with their plasma weapons, but their energy attacks had little effect against human shields, designed specifically to deflect such attacks. Colonel Mary Thompson commanded the ground reinforcements, arriving via orbital drop pods. Her mission was to relieve the human forces that had been fighting alien occupation troops for over a week. What she found on Earth's surface amazed her. The Kethvar ground troops were already retreating to their landing sites. Major Susan Green's defenders had not just held their positions but had begun pushing the aliens back, using tactics that the invaders could not counter. Human resistance fighters had made it impossible for the aliens to control any territory. "Outside their immediate landing zones, the aliens are evacuating," Susan reported to Mary. "They're abandoning equipment and wounded soldiers in their hurry to reach their transport ships." In space, the battle was becoming a massacre. Captain Andy Miller had developed new tactical innovations that used asteroid fields and gravitational effects to devastating advantage. His squadron would hide behind asteroids, then use the gravity of large planets to slingshot nuclear missiles at impossible speeds toward alien targets. War strategist Velthak realized that his forces were being systematically destroyed. In 3 hours of fighting, he had lost over 200 ships while the humans had lost fewer than 30. The casualty ratio was the worst in Kethvar military history. "Send an emergency transmission to the Empire capital," he ordered. "Request immediate evacuation support for all remaining forces." The message that reached the Kethvar High Command was unprecedented. Never before had an Empire commander requested evacuation from a primitive species. The military leaders who had confidently approved the Earth invasion now faced the possibility that their most experienced war strategist might be completely destroyed by beings they had considered barely intelligent. Admiral Lisa Parker watched the battle from Luna Station with satisfaction mixed with amazement. Earth's hidden military strength was exceeding even her most optimistic estimates. Ships were emerging from concealed bases throughout the solar system. The asteroid belt shipyards had been working for decades, and their production was finally revealed. "Status report on total fleet strength," she asked her tactical officer. We now have over 4,000 operational warships in the solar system, Admiral. More ships are still arriving from hidden bases. The number shocked even Lisa. She had known about Admiral Johnson's fleet and suspected that Earth had additional hidden forces, but this level of military preparation suggested that her government had been planning for interstellar war for much longer than anyone realized. Dr. Kevin Scott analyzed captured alien technology, while General Laura Adams planned humanity's next moves. The HFY had superior individual weapons and defensive systems, but their military doctrine was centuries out of date. They had never faced an enemy that combined primitive weapons with advanced tactics. Their technology makes them overconfident, Kevin explained. They expect their superior shields and weapons to guarantee victory. When those advantages are neutralized, they don't know how to adapt. War strategist Velthak made the most difficult decision of his military career. With 70% of his fleet destroyed and human reinforcements still arriving, continued fighting meant complete annihilation. He ordered a general retreat from the Sol system. All ships withdraw to minimum safe distance, he commanded. Ground forces abandon all positions and return to transport vessels immediately. The HFY retreat became a rout as human forces pursued the fleeing aliens. Admiral Johnson's ships hunted down damaged alien vessels, while fighter squadrons attacked the evacuation transports. The message was clear. Earth would not tolerate invasion, and any species that attacked humanity would face devastating retaliation. As the surviving HFY ships fled toward the edge of the solar system, Admiral Parker opened a communication channel that would be heard throughout their fleet. Her message was simple but terrifying. Attention HFY Empire. The forces you have fought represent less than 10% of Earth's total military strength. Our main battle fleets are still conducting routine exercises in other systems. Any future aggression against human space will result in the complete destruction of your civilization. The lie was perfect because it contained just enough truth to be believable. Earth did have more ships than the aliens had encountered, and human military planning did include scenarios for offensive operations against galactic powers. The HFY had no way to know that they had actually fought most of Earth's available forces. War strategist Velthak received Admiral Parker's message as his damaged flagship limped away from Earth. The implications were clear. If the humans had destroyed his fleet using only a small fraction of their military power, then the HFY Empire faced an enemy that could match or exceed their total strength. The retreat continued for days as human forces escorted the alien survivors to the edge of the solar system. No HFY ship was allowed to stop or scan anything during the withdrawal. Earth's government wanted the aliens to leave with their fear intact and their intelligence-gathering capabilities neutralized. The war ended with the establishment of a 50-light-year exclusion zone around Earth. Any alien vessel that entered this region would be considered hostile and destroyed without warning. The HFY Empire, once spanning 2,000 star systems, abandoned all expansion plans in human space and began a massive military reformation program. Admiral Tom Johnson's fleet remained on high alert as Earth's leaders planned their next moves. The successful defense had revealed humanity's true military strength to both enemies and potential allies. The galaxy would never again make the mistake of underestimating the species from the small blue planet that had turned galactic. Conquest into a training exercise.